Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
A tool called Name Your Price. Get a grip on your spending like an industrial vice. It's nice. Beats rolling the dice. I prefer brown rice. Don't carry dumbbells when you walk on thin ice. Splash.
Get insurance based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dez, Chill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. How you wanna end a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level? Bold with the topic, sorta like the rebels when it's game time. They like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th saw the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.
What's good, War Room family? You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Dev Millen. I'm at the round table with my brother B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. What up, dude? Another NFL season is upon us.
What up, Dove?
So welcome to our 8th annual NFL kickoff show and our 7th anniversary show. The inaugural episode of the War Room was recorded live on Thursday, September 9th, 2010. 7 years and 376 episodes later, here we are. So keep it locked right here. Also, make sure you join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/War Room, the War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly in about 30 minutes when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number, as usual, is 323-410-0012. But during the week when we're not live on the air, spitting what we spit, be sure to check out the War Room Sports Podcast Network. Besides our own podcast, The War Room, you can also listen to shows such as The Broad Street Line and The Broad Street Line Express with Roy and Chris, The Tissue and the Tape Hip Hop Show with Philmatic and Savad, John Appetit with the Burtons, On the Couch with the Wilsons, Cover 2 with McMillan and Purdue, By the Hood with Jimmy the Blueprint and Corey Camp, and again, we'd like to welcome our newest show to the network, Race Haven Radio with Dr. Scott Speed and his co-host, John Costino. Just visit warroomsports.com, click the WRS Podcast Network tab, or go to our free mobile app and click the network tab there. What up, B? First, we had Hurricane Harvey bearing down on the Gulf Coast, and now the southeastern United States are bracing for Irma. You know, Godspeed to everybody out in the Caribbean. What's the deal, man? Hurricane season has ramped up very, very quickly.
Very swiftly. Yo, for those of you who don't know, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but our late, great, and dearly departed brother, J.W. the Blueprint, no, y'all, he's not dead.
People just got scared, like, oh, my God, what happened to the Blueprint?
We are going to try and go head up with the hurricane. We'll probably lose, but, you know, a hero dies one great death. I'm not a conspiracy theorist as our brother, but I'm just going to call it as I see it. It really feels like the end of the world is around the corner. I don't know how many times throughout history.
Started a long time ago.
Yeah, it has, but it's speeding up. Like, it's speeding up. We got, you know, despots developing nuclear weapons and now really testing them and saying they're aiming them. We got, you know, Biff president. Things are finally working out for Yahweh's people.
Attention is greater than money.
Attention is greater than money. Storms back to back to back. You know, people are actually recognizing that Yahweh's people have been mistreated in this country, and it's brewing, coming to a head. Like, it's just a lot of weird things that are upon us. And, you know, depending on what great book you read, you know, some of this stuff is proclaimed and pride. And we're not getting into anything religious, but It's just a lot going on in the world today that's kind of crazy, and it's a little scary. And yeah, that's been my take for the week. Like, that's what's been on my mind. Happy birthday to the War Room, by the way, our 7th anniversary show. Happy birthday to us.
All right, no doubt. Yeah, like I said in the intro, man, 7 years ago, September 9th, we got on the airway. I tell this story to people all the time. We got on the airways live in front of an audience of 42 people. And real talk, like, in front of those 42 people, that was the most nervous time that I can remember having. And man, by episode number 2, like, we were in a groove. It didn't mean nothing. Our audio sounded like stir-fried doo-doo. It's not like it's great now. You know, we went through phases. Like, we went through a phase where we were high definition and killing it. And, you know,
it would be nice if somebody paid us $1 million an episode. But to be quite honest, man, this is one of the highlights of life.
Yeah.
Salute to the War Room.
Plus, we own all our publishing. So, yeah. Don't want to give that up. All right, but yeah, definitely salute to the show, to our company, to everything we built in that 7 years. But we're going to do what we do, and we're going to talk some sports. So we're going to talk about what happened this week while all of you good folks out there was on the grind trying to make that money and do what you do. And while you're on the grind, is brought to you by DirecTV. If you'd like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including some of the most extensive sports packages offered by any service, go to DirecTV.com and order yourself a better TV experience. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have DirecTV. All right, man, this has to go down in the most ironic of ironic stories during this week. During the Cleveland Browns' during the home opener this Sunday, the Cleveland police are basically going to protest the Cleveland Browns because the Cleveland Browns kneeled before the national anthem during their preseason game. Do you see the irony in this? Once again, we have people basically ignoring what a protest is about, and they're just going to make it about themselves and, you know, get into their feelings. And now, I mean, because they do something with the flag. I think they hold the flag during the ceremony, and the Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association says they think that the action of the Cleveland Browns in that game against the New York Giants was a slap in the face to America, an insult to veterans and police, and it's just plain unpatriotic. So during the home opener this Sunday, they will not participate in the pregame flag ceremony. But I'm asking you this, B, what's the difference between what they're doing and what Colin Kaepernick and everybody who's followed him has been doing? You're not going to participate in an anthem ceremony, but you're doing it because you're mad because somebody is not participating in an anthem ceremony. WTF.
You know, the funny thing is, I believe, and I could be mistaken, I think you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that these Cleveland Browns players, their act was a decision to kneel and pray during the anthem. Is that so? I'm going to back up here a little bit. You know, America, the United States of America, they say a lot of nice things in their preamble, and there's a great marketing of what America's ideals are: liberty, life, just pursuit of happiness, liberty, and some other crap that's probably
blah blah and bliggity blah blah bliggity blah.
And freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of all these freedoms, right? So they also bill themselves, and America bills itself as a quote-unquote Christian nation. I don't know that the men that knelt for the players that knelt for the Cleveland Browns were all Christian. I don't know, but I would venture a guess, and this is me being presumptuous, that they're, Christians, right? So in a Christian nation, a quote-unquote Christian nation with freedom of religion, so come one, come all, right? They decided to do what Christians do, allegedly, and kneel and pray to God on high, which it does say on the currency here, in God we trust. And they're praying because obviously they see something wrong in the country, and their act was not to raise a fist. Their act was not to even speak out against it. Their act was not to, yell loudly from the mountaintops, which I think the problems here warrant that. Their act was to be Christian, kneel, pray to the God that most people say, or not most, but a lot of people say that America serves because it's a Christian nation. And now the response from the police is to protest this by not participating in what, does no one see the contradictions here? Like, no one sees the huge, I could use the nice words, contradiction and paradox, but, F that. No one sees the hypocrisy here. No one's going to comment on the hypocrisy. And we're still having this conversation and not discussing why Colin Kaepernick did what he did, why Malcolm Jenkins in Philadelphia raises his fist, why Brandon Marshall of the Denver Broncos, I don't even know if he still plays for them, took a knee. Why the Bennett brothers do it, which we'll talk about one of them a little later. We're not going to talk about what that is. We're still going to focus months and months later on people taking a stand and their behavior, as opposed to having a conversation about why. Everyone is ducking that, including the Coons, the Sambos.
Well, look, Steve Loomis is the head of the Cleveland Patrol.
I'm a little emotional over this, y'all. My bad.
And Steve Loomis, he said he's really upset that Browns owner Jimmy Haslam allowed the players to protest. First of all, how are you going to not allow somebody to protest? But he said he's not, what I'm saying? He's doing all of that, and he's upset that the Cleveland owner, quote unquote, allowed them to protest. But even in their protests, it's not like he's saying, okay, we're walking away from the team and we're not going to take this money that they give us to do security assignments. So it's like, make up your mind. If you're that mad at what Jimmy Haslam's players are doing, don't be around. You're just going to basically, I guess it's eye for an eye. You don't participate in the flag ceremony, and we're not going to participate in the flag ceremony. But I thought it was so unpatriotic to do so. So I really don't understand, the hypocrisy in this whole thing. But, man, it's whatever. They said this guy is not really known for intellectual honesty. They say he's one of those just a fiery apologist is how they describe him of officers. Like, all he does is defend officers in every situation. But people close to him says he understands why athletes in Cleveland and everywhere else are taking a knee. He just doesn't want to acknowledge it, because that would be him admitting that all police officers aren't heroes. So this dude sounds like a piece of crap from the door. So I don't know, man. He just said, he said it's just ignorant for someone to do that. It just defies logic to me. So he's one of these Captain America, thinks what I'm doing and what I'm saying and what I'm representing is patriotic, when it's really doing nothing but, leading and helping and aiding the oppression of other people. Yeah, we could talk about this dude all day, but I don't want to. Your man T.O., PJ's cousin T.O., He's going to compete on the 25th season of Dancing with the Stars. But not only is he competing with Dancing with the Stars, T.O. is still sitting by the phone waiting for an NFL team at 43 years old. He was on camera last week saying that it's a joke that he's not in the league, considering the shape that he's in. He said, I'm an exception to the rule in terms of people playing well beyond their 30s. Like, T.O., you know we got your back here, but how will we even know that? Because you haven't played well beyond your 30s, because you've been sitting there by the phone talking this mess for the past, I don't know how many years. But at what point do you tell your homie, B, like, come on, dog, it's over. It's over.
And it's only because he is officially a homie of the War Room. First of all, Dancing with the Stars, I don't have any problem with it. It's one of the few reality TV shows. I don't watch reality TV, but it's one of the few that I don't say I support, but I get it. It's entertaining. It's not destructive. It's not negative. We may laugh at you, because you're putting on tight pants and twirling. But I mean, I get it, and I'm happy that he is able to get back to getting attention, because he's one of the early adopters of attention getting. So, salute to T.O. You're back in the limelight, however long that'll last. And now we get to the football thing. I believe T.O. I believe that Terrell Owens could go out on an NFL field right now for a game or 2 or 4 or 6, maybe even 8, and contribute on an NFL roster, get open, make catches. Don't know what his stats would look like, don't know what his production would look like, but I believe that as an athlete, he is exceptional to the standard that he could compete and play at this age. Here's the problem. 2 things. Number one, there is someone out there who is 10 years, 15 years, and at this point, 20 years younger than T.O., who will cost much less and needs that opportunity. And so why do I give a 43-year-old who's been out of the game for 6 years an opportunity that I could give to a 23-year-old for much less money who's going to be able to sustain in the league, probability says, for much longer? That's the first thing. The second thing is,
at this point, T.O. wouldn't be able to command anything but a veteran's minimum.
Veteran's minimum is still more expensive than what I would have to pay a 23-year-old to take up the same roster spot and probably give 80% of the production I get from T.O. So why would I sign T.O.? The other thing is there are some exceptional athletes out here who can compete at a high level well into their 40s. The problem isn't their level of competition. The problem is their recovery. At 43, I don't care how fast your 40 time is. I don't care how great your hands are. When you do get injured, because you will in professional football, it's not going to take you 7 days to heal any longer. You're not going to be ready to go on just a tweak in 7 days, in even 14 days.
My man got his hyperbaric chambers.
Hyperbaric? No, I can't afford that anymore. He ain't got T.O. Yo, listen, T.O. got kids. He ain't got
borrow one from one of his young boys or something. Nobody in the league probably like him. But I don't know, man. I think T.O., as much as I've been a fan of T.O., as much as I think he's probably the second greatest receiver I've ever seen, yeah, it's time for T.O. to take a seat. I mean, do this kind of stuff. Do Dancing with the Stars. Do whatever you need to get you back in the limelight so you can
go play in the big
somehow make an income. He's actually mentioned that too. He's trying to get into that league for next year. I was joking. But do something to get in the limelight so you can get yourself a check, because it's not going to come from the NFL. And, I'm sorry to be the one to break that to you, T.O. We still love you, though, homie.
Yeah, absolutely.
the Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox, has been caught. They've been caught cheating, and what they were doing was using Apple Watches to steal signals from the Yankees and allegedly other teams. And how they did it was, I guess when they run some of their crew and they run video monitoring and replay and all that kind of stuff, somehow it's sent to a coach in the dugout or a trainer in the dugout via his Apple Watch. Then he relays this information to all of the players in the dugout, and that's when the players in the dugout, gives their signals and whatever they have to do to the players on the field. Usually when you're stealing signals, you're giving it to your runner who's on second base, because when you have a runner on second base, he can look in and actually see the catcher and the signals that he's given to your teammate is up to bat. Now that's always been, of course they frown upon quote unquote cheating, but that's always been within the rules, because all they're worried about is what you do. You can't use anything but your eyes. You're not supposed to use any electronics, any mechanical stuff or anything like that. So the Red Sox are out of line because they're using technology to do things that, you had to have sharp vision to do in the past. So what's your thought on the Red Sox using technology?
I got a song from my man Honest John, and the title of that song is "If You Ain't Cheating, You Ain't Trying." If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I wish I cared enough about Major League Baseball to make us think about this, because the only angle I can take is what message are we giving to our youth. But professional sports is littered with negative contradictions to the positives that we want to teach youth in sports. So this is just one more thing on a huge pile of other things. I mean, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying professional sports. So, what I'm gonna say? What I'm supposed to say about that?
I'm supposed to get mad at that.
I'm supposed to get mad at that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing that makes me mad. I mean, it's just drama for me. You got the first place
against the Phillies,
Boston Red Sox cheating against the second place New York Yankees, the biggest rivals in baseball. The investigation has been allegedly going on for about 2 weeks now. So it probably didn't just happen against the Yankees, but the fact that those teams are arch rivals makes the story that much more juicy. And then that's what it is. The Red Sox are cheating.
Somebody from the
technology
Yankees
to do it. Yeah. Oh yeah, they definitely did. They have no qualms about that. I believe it was who actually took it to him. Might have been Brian Cashman. Yeah, he did. He filed a detailed complaint with the commissioner's office that included video of the Yankees shot of the Red Sox dugout during a 3-game series. And that's when they saw the trainer in there looking at his Apple Watch. And then once he, took his eyes off his watch, he would go give some information to the rest of the dugout, who in turn gave that information to the players on the field. So,
I didn't know what that.
They definitely snitch. But I don't think the rules of the street apply when it comes to Boston and New York. I don't think they care. They hate each other so much that snitching is not frowned upon.
So they like the boy that snitched on Aaron Hernandez. He didn't even care.
Pretty much. He didn't care. Because if he didn't snitch on him, he's going to kill him anyway. All right, so last thing that happened while you guys were on the grind. Radio personality, Craig Carton. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's the guy for the past 10 years. He's been doing the Boomer and Carton show up in New York, and that's Boomer Esiason, former Cincinnati Bengals quarterback. This guy has been arrested on fraud charges because he's allegedly involved in a Ponzi scheme where this guy and his business partners were accused of soliciting investments in ticket reselling enterprises after he had accrued millions of dollars worth of gambling-related debts to casinos and other third parties. Now, this is what they did. They basically they used the Ponzi scheme and the concert ticket selling scam for big acts like Katy Perry, Justin Bieber, and people like that. Now, what they supposedly did was promise those big name tickets to people who were paying a lot of money to put those tickets on the secondary market. So what they're saying, they had access to large quantities of face value tickets to concerts by giant artists, and their investors, like I said, we're going to put tickets on the secondary market. But the only thing was these guys really didn't have access to these tickets, but they were taking this money from these investors in order to pay off their massive gambling debts.
Wow.
Crazy, ain't it? This
wow.
Boomer claims to have no knowledge of it. He said, I thought my partner called out this morning because they actually arrested the dude prior to him leaving his house. And the show starts at 6 a.m., so they had to get there early. They arrested him at like 3:45 a.m. on Wednesday morning before he could leave for work. So Boomer, ended up doing the show. I don't know, if the producer helped him or how. I don't know who filled in, but he thought his partner called out, and then after the show, he realized that his partner had been arrested. So Carton and his partner in crime, not Boomer, his partner in crime, Michael Wright, they were both released on $500,000 bond at a hearing. So we'll see what ends up happening with this. Any radio personalities? Yes,
Boomer,
yes.
we available.
Yes.
We available. We definitely are available. Let us know something, Boom.
Well, that's crazy. Like I wouldn't even have the heart to take that kind of money from people if I have no chance at coming through with my side of the deal. Like I've always
some people have no scruples.
Exactly. I've always been amazed at people with these Ponzi schemes and the fact that they would even have the gonads, the cojones, to do this kind of stuff, man. You don't know who you take.
Sometimes
who's going to be looking for you.
Sometimes you get into situations like I've always looked at gambling and asked myself, well, what's the big deal? Why do people frown so heavily upon gambling? So what if you gamble? But upon further examination and
like
deeper
drugs,
it's like you become addicted and you get over your head, and at that point, your soul can be purchased. Like I know that sounds dramatic, but essentially that's what happened. They bought my man.
It's true.
He had so much debt.
Sold his soul to the D-ville. All right, so shout out to the homie because he might be spending a whole lot of time behind bars. Somebody from our fraternity here. All right. So real quick, I'm going to do some birthdays before we get Fred Purdue on the line to give us a little college football information, because after that, we're going to go NFL crazy on you guys, because after all, it is NFL kickoff night. You got the Kansas City Chiefs going to visit those New England Patriots, and, we'll see how it goes. It's a season that's already tainted by a lot of social issues. You got a lot of fans saying that they're not even watching football this year. So we're going to see how this goes. But we're going to give you football for the next hour and a half. So keep it locked right here. We're going to give some birthday shout-outs real quick. And birthdays, as usual, brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence, top-quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. And, yes, financing options are available. So visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And for discounted rates, be sure to tell them that War Room Sports sent you. All right,
You look like
the
you're out here
homie.
running a Ponzi scheme with your website using a Weebly, man. Get it done professionally.
One of LeBron James' more recent super team lackeys, Kevin Love, turns 29. The basketball player that we used to affectionately refer to as White Moses. Once you play with LeBron, you ain't doing nothing Moses like no more because you don't even play near the basket. So shout out to Kevin Love. Pops Mensah-Bonsu turns 34. We generally wouldn't give a shout out to a player of the caliber of Pops Mensah-Bonsu, but his name is Pops Mensah-Bonsu, so that's worth mentioning. Shout out to you, 34 years old. Mark Pryor, pitcher extraordinaire, he turns 37. Antonio McDyess turns 43. Man, you remember McDyess used to dunk the ball like he and the rim had beef over a female or something like that. But Antonio McDyess used to be violent with that thing. And Eric Williams turns 49, excuse me. And I'm not talking about the Eric Williams that looks like something from another planet from NBA. I'm talking about Eric Williams, the former offensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys. So we like to give a big War Room salute to all of these folks on their birthdays.
Yay!
All right, and I'm going to let you guys know how you can get in touch with us during the week and everything that you need to know. Yeah.
Real quick. Yo, how is Pops Mensah-Bonsu 34, yo? How's that even?
No.
How did he get 34? Like, he's like, the last time I looked up, he was a 23-year-old bum that was kind of athletic and hanging around G League.
Yeah. That's why, though.
34.
Like, when you're that young and you're a bum, like, people easily forget about you. And you can take, like, a 7-year stint when you're not in the league and nobody ever notices, and then your birthday comes up and you're like, damn, what happened to Pops Mensah-Bonsu? His name is hot. That's about it. But we're going to have Fred Perdue on the line right after these messages. You can check out our website at warroomsports.com. While you're there, be sure, take your time, look around, click on the Contact Us tab, send us a message about the company, the show, to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities, joining the network in any capacity, whatever your business. Hit us up for general inquiries. Email us, info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, make sure you click the memorabilia tab and give us some support. Buy some of that Small Baller brand merchandise. You know, everybody's out there caping for the homie, Big Uncle Var, you know, cape for us. And it's only going to cost you a few dollars. It's not going to cost you $3.95 or $4.95 or whatever they're charging for belts and hats these days at Triple B's. But buy some memorabilia. That's all I'm trying to say. Then you can click the blog tab to read our latest articles in the All's Fair and Sports and War blog. Then you can click the respective icons and tabs to follow us on all of our social media platforms, to subscribe to our iTunes podcast, to watch our webcast at War Room Sports TV, to listen to the WRS Podcast Network, and to download our free, yes, I said free, War Room Sports mobile app on Android or iOS to get everything I just mentioned on the go. Join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/The War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't have one and you don't feel like creating one, you can sign in through your Facebook and Twitter accounts. So while you're at it, make sure you click follow. That'll get you updates and reminders about the show. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, the chat room, and the War Room Sports Game Time group on the GroupMe app during the show. But if you want to call in and speak with us, you can hit us in about 5 minutes after we talk to Fred Perdue. The Digital Extreme Tech hotline, that number is 323-410-0012. Just press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. Now, Fred and his college football report is brought to you as a part of our Hot Topics segment, which is brought to you by Sports the Book. You guys tired of reading the same old sports book with the same old tired sports lists, rankings, imaginary starting lineups, and all sort of subjective BS being passed off as facts? Well, be sure to pick up your copy of Sports, peep the acronym, Smart people only read the sports. This mixture of sports and hip-hop culture will keep you on the edge of your seat, and it also keep you laughing like you're watching a comedy special. So just go to sportsthebook.com or get your copy from our website, warroomsports.com. But whatever you do, don't miss the movement.
So if you don't read it, then we got to ask you, is you smart or is you dumb?
Fred, what's going on, good brother?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Football, man. That's all I got to say. Football in any form you want it. College, high school,
Wataguan.
NFL, football. I know you're here to talk some football, so we're going to get right into it, Fred, man. Kevin Sumlin. I called him Sumlin. I put a B in his name. Kevin Sumlin. What's going on, man? I'm hearing reports of his demise. Are these reports premature, or is it going down?
It's not all the way there, but you're already on the hot seat, and then you blow a 24+ point lead against Josh Rosen. It's already bad enough that Josh Rosen was the guy that was already out there talking and saying all the great things that you want athletes to say, but now he's backing it up he's pulling his best Dan Marino impression and doing fake spikes and throwing the ball down the field for game-winning touchdowns against you, to the point where regents and boosters amongst the Texas A&M football program have been going on their personal Facebook accounts and saying, we need this guy out of here. He hasn't had much success since Johnny Manziel, and you've lost 3 5-star quarterbacks. That's not good, and you still haven't won an SEC title. Not good at all.
Not good at all. But something else, speaking of not good, well, at least on the surface it's not good unless this youngster comes in here and burns it up. Florida State, already, game 1. Redshirt sophomore DeAndre Francois injured on Saturday night. He's pretty much he's done for the season, right? There's no way he's coming back.
Yeah, he's out for the season with a torn patella tendon.
Okay, so now they have to go to a true freshman.
Yes,
James
Blackman.
In a season where they were basically touted as one of the favorites to win the national championship. We even talked about it, on Quick Slants. You talked about it, on Twitter and everywhere you've been in the past few weeks. You've talked about the fact that, you picked Alabama to win that game week 1, but there was a strong possibility that Florida State could run the table, meet Alabama again in the national championship game, and possibly win. Are all of these plans out of the window, or can this freshman get with this stout defense and try to make that happen?
I don't know at this point, because you're not only the offensive line looked the same, and a lot of the issues that Jimbo Fisher said that would be addressed weren't addressed. The offensive line looks bad. The running game isn't really existent, and now that your quarterback who can take those hits, because of the fact that he's used to getting rocked a little bit. Now you have a true freshman coming in. Doesn't look good for Florida State. And if Alabama does that to you, wait till you see Miami, who has a pretty good defense. Wait till you see Clemson, who doesn't look like they lost a beat. They look like they reloaded. They aren't rebuilding. And, oh, by the way, Louisville has the Heisman Trophy winner from last year in Lamar Jackson, who dropped 56 points on them last year. So it hurts, because for the second time in a row, I picked Florida State to win a national championship, and it might be out the window as of about week 1 or 2. So it looks great on.
I know how it hurts your heart to even make that pick. So
yeah, I know. If I'm making that pick, I had a good feeling about this defense, and this defense could find a way to come back. And everybody gets rocked by Alabama, but to the extent that they got destroyed in the running game, it says a lot. It really says a lot, because when your defense literally can't stop the run against a quarterback who can't throw the football and is completely reliant on moving around in the pocket, shifting the launch point before throws, and you have multiple backs who aren't really great at anything, but they're just running behind an Alabama line. They're not special at all. That hurts. It really hurts.
All right, so you mentioned a minute ago Louisville and last year's Heisman Trophy winner. What's the Heisman rankings looking like right now, this early in the season?
Well, I always give a little bit of I give a little bit of respect to the former winner if they come back. So despite the struggles against Purdue, I'm going to leave Lamar Jackson at. I'm dropping him from 2 down to 5. For me, I think that you still, if one more week of that bad performance, then we can start talking about other players. JT Barrett was in there. He's gone after a terrible performance against Indiana. My top guy at this point after week 1 is Josh Rosen. Having that great of a comeback, 400-plus yards, multiple touchdowns, not to mention doing a Dan Marino impression, yeah, that gets you a number 1 spot.
After talking your ish.
Exactly. So for me, I got to put him in there. My number 2 is Saquon Barkley from Penn State. I compare him to he's a quicker, faster version of Doug Martin, and we know the damage that Doug Martin did at the college level and somewhat at the NFL level. So Penn State has come back. I didn't think they'd come back this quickly, and we all have to remember that a lot of these teams are playing cupcakes. So we're not going to see them play real teams until at least week 2 or 3. So for me, at least for now, when you're putting up 150 yards or so, that's what you're supposed to do against some of these cupcake teams. For me, number 3, I gotta definitely put in there Darius Geis, LSU running back. I said he'd win the Heisman, so we got to keep him in there. Had a pretty good performance against BYU. Keep him in there. I think he's going to get better as the season goes on. And 4th, for me, Miami running back Mark Walton, 150 yards. Yeah, it was against Bethune-Cookman, but he looks very special. He showed a little bit of wiggle. He showed a little bit of power. He has all the tools you can see in a NFL running back. Now, is he a first rounder, second rounder? We don't know yet. But seeing what we've seen I've seen him for the last 3 years. This is his last year. I'm just going to be honest about it. And I think you're going to see a lot of records being shattered for him at the U.
All right. We're going to see how this plays out. All right, so real quick before you get out of here, just give us your updated top 5 teams right now in the Fred Purdue poll.
In the Fred Purdue poll, yes, of course. For me, I definitely have to leave Alabama at number 1. They didn't play great, but they didn't kill themselves. And Florida, they took what Florida State gave them, so got to give them the number 1 spot. Clemson surprised me. I wasn't sure what I'd get from Kelly Bryant, the new starting quarterback. It looks like he's picked up where Deshaun Watson left off, and this team looks really good behind him on offense, although they started slow for about the first 2 possessions, and then they just picked up speed. So Clemson moves up a little bit for me. Ohio State, I have to drop them. They just did not look great, and I've never understood how you can have a quarterback. He can stay this is a 5th-year senior in JT Barrett, who's been a Heisman candidate and all of that great stuff. Technically he is a national champion. He took his team all the way there and got hurt, but nonetheless, he's regressed every single year since that national championship and that run at a Heisman Trophy, his redshirt freshman season, and it just doesn't look good. So Ohio State, I have to drop them. The defense looks okay, but still I'm dropping them down to number 3. They'll get better throughout the season. For me, I definitely got to take a look at Michigan. I want to move them up to number 5. I look at the offense is not great, but the defense has they lost 43 seniors on this team alone. So when you're losing that many players, bringing in that many more players, you have the number 1 player in the country in Rashawn Gary, who comes in and pretty much does what he needs to do. Maurice Hurst on the D-line as well, making plays. The secondary they did okay against Florida. Florida's offense was very anemic, so they really took care of that. The offense cannot throw 2 back-to-back pick sixes. You can't have that. They'll get better throughout the season. And at number 5, I kind of went back and forth between Oklahoma and Penn State. Oklahoma has a big matchup against Ohio State this week. If they can win this game, I'll put them in the top 5. But for right now, I love Penn State. Just the fact that they've come back from all of the scandals and things that they've had going on since the Jerry Sandusky stuff has been going on. So Penn State
BVR.
with their Heisman trophy. Exactly. So as long as they're running behind Saquon Barkley at running back, I think they're going to be have a good chance of potentially winning the Big Ten because that team looks really explosive.
All right, everybody out there, if you want to hear more from Fred Perdue on the college football tip, you can check him out on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. On Quick Slants, just go to warroomsports.com, click on the Podcast Network tab, and then look for Quick Slants on the right-hand menu. You can check out all the archive shows of Quick Slants. And if you're an NFL fan, you can catch talking with me every week about everything that's going on in the NFL with Cover 2 with McMillan and Purdue. Check that out at the same place on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. Fred, before you get out of here, give them your Twitter address and let them know how they can get at you on the weekends when you're talking your stuff.
For sure. Before I do that, I just got to say, Cover 2, we just dropped the prediction show. We're dropping the prediction show. Please go listen to that. Please on Twitter. Once you get to the very end, I'm not going to spoil it, but when you come back to me at the end on Twitter, let me know how you feel about it because I know you're going to have a lot to say about it. You can reach me on Twitter at Fred Perdue CFB. Again, Fred Perdue CFB.
All right, Fred. We'll holler at you next week.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, no doubt. All right, Fred Perdue, everybody. War Room Sports college football contributor.
Fred Perdue.
I see. We got a caller on the line real quick. I think that's the homie Tobias. Tobias, you're in the War Room. What's going on, good brother?
Oh, no, I ain't Tobias, man. But, yo, tell Tobias to reply to my messages, bro. What's up, man? How you doing, man?
We got War Room Peace. We got War Room Family Peace.
Oh, Rob, you calling from a different number? I thought that was Tobias calling. My bad. We don't have a producer to screen the calls tonight, so we going raw dog. We thought we knew that number. What's up, man? How you?
Yeah, man. I'm good, man. Sorry for the different numbers, man. You know, the government, you know what I'm saying, trying to chase a brother because, you know what I'm saying, I got the indigenous brothers, you know what I'm saying, who got to be safeguarded because it's Trump stuff, man. But, yo, to all the black folk, man, know your history, man. The second president of Mexico was black. You know what I'm saying? The last governor of Mexico was Pio Pico. He was half black, half Latino. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason why Texas is Texas is because Mexico wasn't about that slavery, and they let them know in the Alamo. But anyways, man, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's going on? How you, man?
What up?
Football starts now. But look, man, because we're gonna do this a little later in the show, man. We gotta, if you call in, we can get your Super Bowl prediction, man. What two teams are gonna be in the Super Bowl and who's gonna win it?
That's a good question. We already know the Patriots is most likely going to make it. That's an obvious choice. I mean, the NFC, I don't know. The NFC be very inconsistent. I mean, you always have the Green Bay Packers contending, but they can't stop a nosebleed. The defense sucks. So I guess you could say probably the Packers, the Patriots, or quite possibly the Falcons again, but you never know. So yeah.
That's why you got to play the game, bro.
Another one. You got the Patriots winning number 6.
Don't say that. Don't do that.
I got two surprising people winning the division. Since I got support black quarterbacks, other than like some people, I think Tampa Bay Buccaneers is gonna win the division, and I got
James does have all the weapons.
All right, Ryan, what are you doing, man? Because your phone sound like you like fighting while you're on the phone.
Oh, sorry, man. I'm just enjoying this weather, and they put it aside. But yeah, also I got the Eagles surprisingly winning this division. I think it's all going to be, huh? It's all going to be decided over turnovers. You know, I think if Jameis Winston, if Carson Wentz completely less turnovers, because he's going to make mistakes. I ain't going to go crazy when he makes mistakes because it's only his second year, right? But I think if he makes less turnovers and if Doug Peterson lets him become him, because remember, the beginning of the year, he was calling audibles and doing his thing. In the middle of the year, he stopped. And towards the end, he does his thing. You know what I'm saying? They have to cater to his strength. You know what I'm saying? Let him be him. Now he is not Division II. He's not gonna, juke guys, not run guys like Aaron Rodgers could do. You know what I'm saying? But if he works on his deep ball, he doesn't turn the ball, and Doug Pearson lets him do his thing.
Check.
Yeah. But
right.
But I want to ask Biasa something. What do you think of the skill position as far as the receivers and the cornerbacks?
I think we'll get to that in a little later in the show, but much improved both sides. Our corners were nowhere, but I'm still worried about the depth at the position because if one of the starters goes down for any prolonged period of time, then we're back to square one because there's no backups. These are no good ones.
That's true. Thank you, Bill. That's true. And you know what? Also about Jim Brown, about his comments, it hurt me, and I think Shannon Sharp is man. He's kind of man enough to say something because it's hard for me to criticize Jim Brown because when I grew up in the house I grew up in, the two athletes I ever heard most about when it comes to football was Lawrence Taylor and Jim Brown. And his legacy, people understand, it transcends, it goes in generations. Oh, come on, man. If we're gonna go there, let's go to the whole Cowboys now. Let's talk about Michael Irvin getting caught, and also Troy Aikman getting caught with some strippers too. Come on now.
Yeah, they did, but they weren't the best ever at their positions, so they don't matter.
Let's say okay. Let's not go there. But his comments hurt and. Kaepernick not playing.
Let me give you some brotherly advice that I think your Uncle Jimmy would give you, bro. One of the things that I learned in sports, and this is some real spit because I think we're all guilty of putting the man or woman above the principle because I used to hero worship the great Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And a couple of other cats, these guys are human, and so until you know their character personally, every single athlete, celebrity, entertainer, or famous person out there is subject to do something that will let you down in terms of your opinion if you hold them in high esteem. There was a time when Jim Brown personified black positive revolutionary masculinity along with some other cats, but I think the reality is he is so caught up in his ego and being the center of that, and now he's no longer the center. He didn't move gracefully off into the pastures like a Harry Belafonte, who is still considered a wise with dignity. Jim Brown still expects to be the center, and when he's not the center and he's not seen as speaking for all black people or the movement, it ruffles his feathers and pushes him the wrong way. And so now he's going to find himself on the wrong side of history with the stands that he's taking against Colin Kaepernick and against the current iteration of the movement. Because now he's on the other side based on what he has said and the stand that he's. So that, in essence, for a lot of people, will erase part of his legacy.
DNA this bull.
All right, Rob, we appreciate you, man. We gone.
All right, nothing marinate on that. Y'all stay safe, man. Have
All right,
fun,
you too,
man.
good
Football's here. Peace, man.
Peace. All right, yeah, that's what's up. Because actually, at the top of the hour, in about 6 minutes or so, we're going to hear from one of War Room Sports' greatest writers, Gus Griffin. He's going to pick a few of the upcoming NFL games this weekend, but he's going to pick against the spread. You know, when we do our weekly picks, we just do our picks straight up. So he's going to pick a couple of games, a few games against the spread. So we should be hearing from him in just a few minutes. But until then, we can keep going with what we were talking about. Along those same lines of what you guys were just mentioning, Ray Lewis says that the Ravens would have signed Colin Kaepernick if not for his girlfriend's quote-unquote racist tweet. Now, you remember when Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend, radio personality, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but you remember back when that whole thing went down and Ray Lewis went on YouTube or whatever he did and said what he said about Colin Kaepernick. She then tweeted a photo of Ray Lewis hugging Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti from behind and likened it to Samuel L. Jackson's house Negro character in Django hugging his dead master from behind, Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Basically called him a Steven.
Basically was calling him a Steven. So Ray Lewis
and Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend is Nessa.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nessa Diab.
So Ray Lewis is out there now telling anyone who will listen that the Baltimore Ravens were going to sign him and chose not to sign him after his girlfriend posted that tweet. Here's a quote from Ray Lewis, who used to be my big cousin, man. I don't know what's up with this dude no more. He said we were going to close the deal to sign him. And he told this to Inside the NFL earlier this week. Steve Bisciotti said, I want to hear Colin Kaepernick speak to let me know that he wants to play football. And it never happens because that picture comes up the next day. His girl goes out and puts out this racist gesture and doesn't know we're in the back office trying to get this guy signed. Steve Bisciotti has said it himself. How can you crucify Ray Lewis when Ray Lewis is the one calling for Colin Kaepernick? And they asked him, would they have signed him if not for the tweet? He said, then he's flying them to Baltimore. I'm sitting with all three of them, and we're all having a conversation about bringing Colin Kaepernick in. First of all, man, the first thing I need to say to Ray Lewis about this whole thing is
well, we don't believe you. You need more people.
There's another
former
one
cousin Ray
gets in the way.
You need a whole lot more people because this is one of those instances where it's so easy to say we were going to do something when you ended up not actually doing something. And it also sounds like he's bitter because he was actually the butt of that joke, the butt of that tweet. So this really sounds like it's coming from him because when the organization was asked about his comments, they chose not to say anything. So, either you're bitter. It just doesn't add up to me. You know what I'm saying? We've seen wives and girlfriends in the past say and do a lot of things detrimental to
Tom
a player.
Brady's wife, Giselle.
Shout out to Miko Grimes.
Wes Welker's wife.
We've seen this before, but it all goes back to the thought pattern of if you believe this guy to be talented enough to help your team, none of that would have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered. And I think the person who was offended by this whole thing, and if there was a deal to be called off, I have a feeling that it might have been Ray Lewis being all in his feelings. But what you got?
I agree with you 100%. And, I have been very vocal about my support of Ray Lewis, the player, and what he represented on the field and the way that he played the game. But the advice that I just gave to one of our faithful, supportive War Room Sports family members applies here, even to myself. You can't allow your support of a player to trump their character and integrity, or your character and your integrity. Salute to Shannon Sharpe for knowing these people and having positive relationships with them and still being willing to call them out on a sports network and on a show that shall remain nameless because they didn't cut us a check. But salute to you, Shannon Sharpe. We see you. We respect you. We support everything that you do and say, except for your LeBron James, Richard Roddick. Outside of that, man, you are a stellar pinnacle of the community and a voice. Ray Lewis, just like Jim Brown, likes to toot his own horn, likes to point to the fact that he goes to the black community, likes to point to the fact that news media and news outlets stick microphones in his and ask his opinion. Or when they don't, he goes ahead with his huge social media following and volunteers his opinion on the state of black affairs and the black community and what's going on in America, to the detriment of the movement, because intellectually I question his understanding, and spiritually I question his ability to relate to those who come from the place that he may come from, because he has what we would like to call athlete's privilege. So he is different. You know, he fits the song that Sean Carter put out, OJ, the OJ song. You know, there's being white, there's being black, there's being Asian, there's being Hispanic, there's being any race, and then there's being Ray Lewis. And so so he believes. And I think that his actions right now, the actions that he's taking, the words that he's speaking, supports the meme that Colin Kaepernick's significant other, Nessa, put out. It supports it. He's running around here painting the Ravens golden and rosy, saying, you know, pointing to himself being an advocate behind the scenes of Colin Kaepernick, when he's been very vocal as a company man.
Right.
Very vocal.
So it's all about what we were going to do, which, like I said before,
with no proof,
is the easiest thing in the world to say when you actually didn't do anything at the end of the day. So, you know, it sounds like for some reason, Ray Lewis and maybe the Baltimore Ravens, like I said, they haven't said anything themselves. They haven't commented, but maybe both of these parties are using this as an excuse.
They absolutely.
Colin Kaepernick still isn't signed, you know, basically to say, well, we were going to do the right thing. We were going to sign him.
They sent their house Negro Ray Lewis out into the streets. They sent their house Negro Ray Lewis out into the streets to say, but Massa is so good, man. Massa is good to us. And Massa was going to even take you into the house, boy. You got that light skin, and you have white. Man, he was going to take you into the house. You was going to eat off the big table. And you messed it up. I was arguing for Massa to take you into the house. Come on, Ray. Man, come on,
Ray has disappointed me over this past year. Like,
no weapons.
Ray needs a do-over of 2017, in my opinion. But maybe, you know, that's how he wants to function. That's how he wants to roll. So maybe he doesn't think that. All right, so let's move on real quick, because we have our guest on the line, which will be a weekly segment. Gus Griffin, who writes for WarRoomSports.com, will come on, like I told you guys earlier, to pick some games against the spread. So let me get Gus on the line right now. Gus, welcome to the War Room. What's going on, good brother?
Well, thank you for having me, my man. Good Howard, man. It's a good week for us as Howard University grads.
Oh, yeah. We plan to talk about that a little bit in a few minutes as well. It's great to be on the right side of history as far as athletics are concerned for once. Yeah. But it definitely felt great to hear that news. All right, so let's get right into these picks. And I know you got a few games on tap for us here, starting with tonight's opener, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New England Patriots. I believe the Patriots are what's the spread on that one? I think
when I jumped in earlier, it was 8. I jumped in on an 8, but depending on where you shop around it may be 9. I'm taking that 8 and laying the 8 points. I usually don't do that big a line, but this is the fifth ring. When have you known this team to be down for a big game? As much as I hate them as a Steeler fan, but I'm going to take the Patriots, lay the 8, just bank that Alex Smith can't keep up with scoring against Tom Brady and company.
Okay. Everybody out there listening, get your money ready. And we're going to move on to the Arizona Cardinals going across the country to visit the Detroit Lions on Sunday.
Yeah, Lions. I'm taking the Lions +2. And what I've found as a sports investor is whenever that home team, and this is basketball or football, whenever that home team is a 2-point underdog, you almost always jump on them. I've found that for whatever reason to be a very, very good thing to take. If you shop around, find 2.5, you can buy the hook, get it up to 3, give up some of the payoff just to kind of make yourself safe a little bit for the field goal. But I'm taking the Lions +2.
Okay, and this is a big one for all the NFC East fans out there. It seems like this game is becoming a tradition. The Giants going to visit the Cowboys on opening Sunday night. What are your thoughts on the Giants and the Cowboys?
I think that is a very, as you said, a very fascinating game. The Giants swept them last year. Their strength, downfield passing with Beckham, and now they've added Brandon Marshall. Their strength is the Cowboys' weakness is secondary. They got the Giants and Steelers a 4-point underdog. Would have been closer if Ezekiel didn't play, but I'm taking the Giants +4. They may win outright.
Okay. They have over the last few contests.
How does that running game factor to that decision, Gus?
The Giants running game?
No, Dallas.
That's going to keep it close. I mean, if Ezekiel didn't play, and then Ezekiel may be worth 3 or 4 points alone. Right. But again, on the other hand, got to admit it, as much as I hate to admit it, the Cowboys' offensive line. I mean, I think I can go and get 800 yards behind that line. I mean, they're not no joke. And I'm sure their game plan is to hog the ball, keep dominate time of possession, keep that Giant offense off the field. But I mean, you can't run the ball every down. You're not going to get a first down. Sometimes you're going to put the ball in the air, and so that I just don't think it's going to be enough.
Okay. All right. So the final game is one of the Monday night contests between the New Orleans Saints, who are going to visit the Minnesota Vikings. This is the first of the 2 Monday night games.
I'm going with the Saints +3. This is Adrian Peterson's revenge. I see him doing a William Gay on a couple of his former teammates. And I'm a Steeler fan, so believe me, I remember 2009 when he ran over my boy William Gay and stomped on him on the way by him. So Google it if you haven't seen it on YouTube. It's funny, but it wasn't at the time. But I think he's going to run like a madman on Monday night. So I take the Saints +3. They may win outright, although Minnesota does have a good defense. But I just think for this game, I don't think Peterson's going to be denied.
I think he could end up a third of the way to 1,000 yards in this game.
I wonder how they're going to run that backfield, with he and Ingram. I haven't checked it like in the last few minutes, but the last I checked, they still had Ingram at the top of the depth chart. I never really thought that meant much, even if he starts the game. You got Adrian Peterson in his twilight years. You're going to give him the ball until you realize that you can't give him the ball anymore. And
that's how I see it.
With them opening up against the Minnesota Vikings, like you said, a revenge game on tap, I don't know. I think it's going to be a positive start to the season as well for Adrian Peterson.
Can I just say, if he's not over 150 yards in this game, then he's not Adrian Peterson anymore.
And that might, you might be right on both counts. He may get 150 and still, age is age and injuries is injuries. Still not Adrian Peterson, but I mean, who's gonna put 8 in the box against Drew Brees in that passing game?
Right. Ooh, great point. Right. That's a great point right there. All right, so there are your picks for the week against the spread. You will hear from Gus every week throughout the football season. So, I guess this week, Gus, they'll be testing you out. If everything looks good by next week, people are going to be plopping down some money on your picks. So thank you, and we will talk to you next week.
No
diggity.
Right,
thank you for having me.
Gus.
All right.
Sports investing. We'll talk to you sports investing. Not gambling, not betting. We're investing.
All right. That's Gus Griffin, everybody. He is one of the writer extraordinaires at warroomsports.com. So make sure you go to warroomsports.com, click on that blog tab. You can look for his name and see everything he's ever written for War Room Sports. As a matter of fact, he has something that will be released tonight. So take a look at that. But be here every week to get his picks against the spread if you're a gambling man or woman. All right, so let's go back into this before we get out, because we got to get our picks in, our predictions for the season. But before you came on, we were talking about Ray Lewis and Kaepernick. Kaepernick is a part of the show every week now at this point.
We got the Kaepernick watch.
Another NFL legend came out and basically spoke against Colin Kaepernick, and that legend was former Pittsburgh Steelers running back Franco Harris. And he said, in a nutshell, he said the Cats, like, if somebody on his team was to do that during the anthem, then the two meanest players that he knows, Mean Joe Green and Jack Lambert, would have dealt with the situation. I'm all right. Before I even give an opinion on him, let me give you some quotes from him. Of course, he said what we just said. He said we had two of the meanest guys in football who I think would have dealt with it, and that would have been Joe Green and Jack Lambert. He said, now, if someone has certain stands that they want to take, I mean, that's fine. But if Colin felt that he wanted to make a point, which is fine, which is his right to get involved in any organization that he really wants, but when he puts on that suit, talking about his team uniform, when he steps out on that field, now it's more than just him. It's his teammates, it's the NFL, and it's the fans. And when he puts that suit on, it's not just about him, his position, the things that he wants to back and he wants to believe in, because the team has to come first. That's what your former Super Bowl MVP said about Colin Kaepernick and his stand. So he made it a point, and his little diatribe to keep saying, it's fine, what he's doing is fine, but he's basically one of those folks that are saying, don't do this here. But this just confuses me, man, because, like, I'm not saying back then, because a lot of the hypocrites who act like cats like Muhammad Ali, even Jim Brown, Bill Russell, and people of that ilk, now that they're older, and some passed on, people revere them, and they act like everything they've ever done and said while playing a sport was the greatest thing ever. But now, again, when this is going on, somebody is getting the same type of backlash that those guys got back then. So it takes me back to the point that we've been stating for the past few months. Like, Kaepernick is really going to be revered by pretty much everybody in about 30 years. But for now, when it's right here in everybody's face, they're going to continue to ignore what he's standing up for. And a lot of people who's affected by what he's actually standing up for are going to keep speaking out against him, which makes no sense to me. So I don't want to give Franco too much time. I know you want to say a little something, but let's hurry up, because we got to move on and talk about your homie Michael Bennett.
This has particular pain for me, because as you get older and you look at your parents, You didn't understand some of the things that they used to say and do with their film and its context. Rest in peace and love and reverence to the late great Patricia Snow Anderson, who was my mother. But she straight up adored Franco Harris. Like there was definitely box offerings mixed in with some of the what she used to say about Franco, and I didn't pick up on it because I was a young boy and I didn't understand, but she loved it. That being said, the thing that I think pains me the most about what we're seeing go on in this country over the last 3 years, I'll say, is not white supremacy and white racism and the way that some of them behave. It's the black people who have bought into, support, and are a part of white supremacy. It's the black people, the celebrities, the athletes, the politicians, and even some of the regular folks that we encounter in our day-to-day lives and our travels that don't love themselves and us enough to see what it is that is going on and going against the struggle of black people in this country, and why what Colin Kaepernick is doing, and Michael Bennett and Malcolm Jenkins and other athletes and other celebrities and other entertainers, why it's so vital and so important for our children who watch TV and engage in social media and observe this stuff, why it's so important for them to stand up and speak out against wrongs, whether it's black people struggle against white supremacy, or DACA, or whatever it is that they feel the need to speak up for and use their platform. And it pains me to see when people of African American descent, of black folks, go against that or take a stand that he's doing something wrong or he should just shut up, all in line. Why? Because you're wealthy and you've made your money and you live an okay life and you're accepting of your position and what you go through on a day-to-day, but you don't have enough empathy and compassion for those who, man, Franco, man, disappointed, bro. Disappointed.
Right. And we're gonna leave that there. I think a lot of people are disappointed with him right now. Michael Bennett, because you mentioned him and his brother earlier when you were speaking on something. He's accusing the Las Vegas Police Department of basically racial profiling. They roughed him up a little bit. He was there for the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight. They were at a club. He said that the crowd heard something that sounded like gunshots, and the crowd began to run. According to his statement, he said that officers pointed a gun at him for, quote, doing nothing more than simply being a black man in the wrong place at the wrong time. They also ordered him to lie down on the ground. He wrote that one officer, with his gun drawn, warned him that he would blow his effing head off if he moved. Another officer jammed his knee into Bennett's back and handcuffed him, according to the statement and the letter that he ended up writing. This is a quote from him. He said, "The officer's excessive use of force was unbearable. I felt helpless as I laid on the ground handcuffed, facing the real-life threat of being killed. All I could think of was I'm going to die for no other reason than I am black and my skin color is somehow a threat." Now, I know you saw this story, B, and there were some accounts that came out the next day. I know TMZ had a story where some of the eyewitnesses said when the cops approached everyone and told them, to basically be still, and they were going to investigate the situation, some people said Michael Bennett ran, and that's when the cops, got on him and roughed him up a little bit. Michael Bennett himself is basically saying, you know, the whole crowd was running at the time because they thought they heard the gunshots. And, you know, that's when his altercation with the officer occurred. So what are your thoughts on this whole thing when you break down some of the versions of the story we've heard?
Michael Bennett and his brother have been very vocal in their support of Colin Kaepernick's cause and in their support of fighting racial injustice, systemic white supremacy, and a lot of the things that we see going on in this country. Before I respond, because, well, the reason that Michael Bennett is so vocal and so out there, and the reason that this has come to the forefront, you can find that reasoning and that logic in something that happened in Cobb County last week when a white woman was pulled over by a white officer, and when he instructs her to reach for the phone in her lap, she responds, "I just don't want to put my hands down." Just seen way too many videos of cops, she says, and he interjects, this is the 27-year police veteran, "But you're not black, remember? We only kill black people." Yeah, we only kill black people, right? All the videos you've seen, have you seen inaudible white people? Is what he really meant to say. Get killed? That video, and I bring that up because that and the fact that even if you interpret tone, which I don't believe in interpreting tone, in that situation, I believe in going with the words. But even if you interpret tone, the fact that an officer felt comfortable during a traffic stop to say something like that, whether it was sarcastic or not, is the entire reason that Colin Kaepernick is taking a knee and that the Bennett brothers are so vocal in what they're doing. This happened to Michael Bennett, I believe, about a week ago, and what he has gone ahead and done is lawyered up and is preparing his case, and I believe that he is going to take a stand within the judicial system using the legislation and policy that is at his disposal with his legal counsel to make a stand, just as has in the past, not always, but in some officers have taken it upon themselves to show black men where their position is in society when they do not comply immediately to commands. So I think that he's going to take a stand. He's 6'4", 270. So
speaking of that other situation that you talked about with the woman, I believe the officer was 100% being sarcastic, but does that make it right? But that's what, like, the conversations I've had with people. But does that make it right? Because now you're using sarcasm on an issue that's very serious,
not funny
to a group of people in today's society. So now you're making light of it. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're sitting there, your sarcasm is basically saying, you know, this is what they accuse us of. So, you know, I'm going to make light of it. Like, that's not right. So it doesn't make that officer it doesn't make it any
less
different
culpable
for me. Yeah, whether he was saying outright, like, we kill black people, or if he was sarcastically asking the question, this is what we do. Like, either way, you're wrong. And Michael Bennett, like, at this point, this is basically his word against the police officer's word. We'll see who else steps up, because even the witnesses that I kind of mentioned to you, you know, nobody's really given any hard information. Nobody's given their names. Like, so we don't know where this information is coming from. You know, in a situation where there's possible gunshots and people panicking for their lives, you know,
who stands still?
That's what I'm saying. And, like, who's standing out there noticing when somebody starts to run? And it's just a lot. So I don't know if somebody's trying to take the police officer's side and maybe say that about Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett does have a book that we talked about. I don't know if it's been released yet, but it's called How to Make White People Uncomfortable. So I don't know. Like, there could be a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding this. Like, they could have recognized who he was. Yeah. They could have recognized who he was. They could have known about the book, or they could simply know about the stands that he already takes, in the league, off the field, and all that kind of stuff. So you don't really know what this situation was about, or it could have just been another random blackface that got some treatment that was a little different than anybody else on the scene. Right. So I don't know.
Recent development in the case, the Las Vegas Las Vegas Policemen's Union has reached out to Roger Goodell officially, and I'm paraphrasing. Maybe I could be wrong, but my interpretation of what they have said is, we want you to investigate Michael Bennett and rein your dog in.
Right, because Roger Goodell has already come out with a statement in support of Michael Bennett, probably because they're figuring, all right, we've ignored Colin Kaepernick long enough. Let's try to get some kudos back by backing this guy. Everybody's seeing right through it, NFL. But it's a PR thing. You got to do what you got to do. It's expected. I have a marketing background, so there's nothing that I did not expect. If nothing happened in Vegas that was really going to put a quote unquote black eye on the league,
this isn't stay in Vegas.
You can stand for that. But when you mess with people's flag and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to take up for you. That's what I've learned throughout this whole situation. So B, we only got about 30 minutes left before this show is over, and then the NFL season will kick off immediately after our show. So we got to get into this segment so we can give out our picks real quick. But before we do have to give this week's stat of the week, which surrounds our alma mater, Howard University, who pulled one of, if not the biggest upset in college football history on Saturday night when they upset UNLV as a 45, not a 4 or 5, a 45-point underdog. So as far as the spread is concerned, I believe it was the biggest upset in college football history. Man, if you put $100 down on Howard that night, you won about $71,000. And
Powerball.
Yep, about 71.5 is what you would have won if you put a $100 money line bet down on Howard to beat UNLV. And I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people who took that bet, not thinking they were going to ever see anything of it. But if you have $100 to spare, which a lot of Vegas gamblers do, why not take a bet on a spread that high? And if a miracle happens, you just had a very, very, very good night.
If you put 10 stacks down, never mind. We ain't even got to talk about that.
So, UNLV paid Howard $600,000 to come to Nevada to play this game. And you know why, major programs do that. Bring some FCS team out here, throw them to the wolves, stomp their heads in, and you pay them for the privilege of getting their heads stomped in. They came out there and they embarrassed this team on their own field. And it's lovely to be a Howard alum, because I was there for the last semblance of success with this football team. And, this win doesn't mean that they're going to go on and have success, but I would damn sure hope that they don't have a story like this, be the FBS team, and then go stink it up in the MEAC. The biggest part of the story, of course, is Kalen Newton, who is the 5'11", 175-pound quarterback and brother of the 6'5", 245-pound former NFL MVP Cam Newton. He passed for 140 yards and a touchdown and ran for 190 yards and 2 more touchdowns. Also including what turned out to be the winning 4-yard touchdown run with about 7.5 minutes left in the game. So looking at that stat line right there, you kind of know what he's about.
Mm-hmm. And getting on his horse and getting out of there.
Yeah, it's not really about that pass game. But
shout
out to him because obviously he wasn't very highly recruited, especially being the brother of an NFL superstar. But if he's going to be there to help lead and put our little alma mater back on the map or on a map, I'm all for it. But it's one of those things like, if he's going to perform like this on a weekly basis, how long is it going to be before he leaves Howard and transfers somewhere else?
True.
But a 45-point dog, B? Come on. Sheesh. How do you win a game as a 45-point dog? Hate you.
I'm so glad I went to Howard U.
Not UNLV.
Word.
UNLV running around like, yeah, right. All right. So you guys can check out our website, warroomsports.com, to call in and speak with us about any of your NFL predictions for the upcoming seasons. Dial in now. The Digital Extreme Tech Hotline is still open. That's 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. Right now we're basically taking calls. If anybody wants to call in and just give us your Super Bowl pick, the teams that are going to be in the Super Bowl and who's going to win it, we'll gladly take that either through phone call, Twitter, Facebook, the chat room, the War Room Sports Game Time group in the GroupMe app. Wherever you want to leave your predictions, leave them now. If you write them in one of those places, we will read it on the air. So this NFL wrap is brought to you by Audible. Is your schedule too hectic to read as much as you want? Well, try audiobooks. Kick back. Let somebody else do the reading for you. That sounds so like king-like. All you got to do is visit Audible and sign up for your free trial at audibletrial.com. In no time, you could be listening to the latest bestsellers, hands-free, stress-free, while getting other things done at the very same time. All righty. It's time. NFL prediction time. We don't have Jimmy the Blueprint to do this with us for an 8th consecutive start to a football season, but Jimmy the Blueprint is boycotting football anyway, so I don't know if he's even interested in making picks. But
might be boycotting sports.
Yeah, your boy B. Austin and your boy Dev Mack, we're going to do this for you anyway. So we're going to do Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, MVP. And then we're going to move on to some team stuff like division winners. We'll go by each of the divisions. We'll do the 2 wild cards in each conference, and then we'll double back and do the conference championship games, the Super Bowl matchup, and the Super Bowl winners. And if we get to it, we'll do our picks for a few of the upcoming games this opening weekend. So, B, you want to start it off, or it's only 2 of us, so we might be able to get, or we can do it like we usually do. You can just run through your list if you want, and then I'll run through my list. Don't do the team stuff yet. Just do the awards predictions.
The awards? All right, all right. Coach of the Year. I'm on my red, black, and green. Mike Tomlin. Comeback Player of the Year. Man, he's raising money for Houston. He's out here. He's putting his little brother in a position to win and shine. J.J. Watt.
And I want to interject for a minute and let everybody know that B. Austin and I did not talk about any of this prior to coming on the air and making these picks. So just want to throw that little disclaimer out there. This just might be an exercise in like minds. Go ahead.
Like mine, yes, like mine. Brother from another mother. Defensive Rookie of the Year. This was tough. This was tough for me. My initial pick, I'll be candid with our listeners. My initial pick was Myles Garrett. I changed that pick because Myles Garrett has a high ankle sprain that will keep him out for up to 5 weeks. Oh, you can't miss 5 weeks and win Defensive Rookie of the Year. So, 2 will stay in the Watt family. Shout out to T.J. Watt. You're getting it. You're getting it. My Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yo, I see a headline that says Myles Garrett is injured because the Browns can't have nice things. Yo, they're cursed. Yo, they need LeBron.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, we're bringing the white running back. Salute to Ed McCaffrey's boy. He will be here. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year. This was tough. Shout out to the defensive end of the Vikings who has a female's name, Danielle Hunter, because many believe that he will have a 20-sack campaign. Something special about that boy Joey Bosa, man. Yeah. Something special about Joey Bosa, man. So I'm going Joey Bosa for you.
He came back for 12 games and balled the fuck out last year.
Yeah. Joey Bosa is going to wrap that up. And it's going to be between JJ and Joey, and JJ is going to show a little bit of his age, although he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. I got Joey Bosa holding that down. Offensive Player of the Year. I battled here with Tom Brady in this slot because I believe Tom Brady has the same evil and ill in him that Michael Jordan has. Is going to make him great past 40. And I know what guys are going to say, was Michael Jordan great after 40? Not by his standards, but it ain't many people averaging 22 a game in the league and scoring 50 over 40. So I think Tom Brady is going to be that in the NFL. But age is going to be a factor in the middle to the late part of the season. So I'm going with David Johnson as my Offensive Player of the Year. He's the Swiss Army knife, does it all. Salute to Tom, though. My MVP, I think that he believes that some of y'all must have forgot. We didn't forget. I got God as the MVP, a.k.a. Meadowlark Lemon, a.k.a. I come to the line and I smirk and laugh at y'all trying to devise these schemes and stop me, and I do everything well. That would be Aaron Rodgers for MVP this year. Meadowlark, yes. He came to the line and he laughed. So that's my awards. Go ahead, Deb.
All right, so for me, and a lot of this might sound like a repeat of B. Austin's list. Coach of the Year for me was between 2 people, and I was given Anthony Lynn from the Chargers some consideration because I see that team improving and possibly doing some big things this season. But much like B. Austin, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be the only team that is a legitimate threat to the AFC crown at the very least of New England Patriots. And I see them having a very good regular season, especially if they can keep Big Ben upright. We know even if he gets hurt, they can say he's out for his lifetime and he'll be back in 2 weeks, but still you need him to be there for every game. And if he is, I see big things for the Steelers. I'm going to go with Mike Tomlin. Comeback Player of the Year. This was also between 2 players. This was between 2 players, but it wasn't close or anything. I was going to give your man, quote, when you have a quarterback like Jay Cutler, unquote, shout out to Fred Purdue. I was giving him some consideration just because of the fact that he's going to a Miami Dolphins team. Not too shabby. You know what I'm saying? So I don't I mean, by standards of comeback player of the year, I don't think it's a difficult award to win. If you were either about to be out of football, if you were injured, if you were out of football, anything like that, you come back and have a decent year, you're in consideration for that. But I'm going to give this to J.J. Watt because I think J.J. is going to come back off of that injury filled season last year and try to reclaim his spot as the nastiest dude on the defensive side of the ball we have in the NFL.
I'm saying FOH to Jay Cutler, but I want our listeners to know I'm not of the Jay Cutler's completely trash ilk. I think that given the right situation and the right amount of talent, Jay Cutler might help take them to the playoffs. Like, he's not a bum by any stretch. He just has bum-like moments.
I mean, he can go either way. He's like the most inconsistent, frustrating. If you're a fan of, if you were a fan of the Bears, if you were a fan of the Broncos, he's just so inconsistent and frustrating because a Jay Cutler that's on can be frustrating to the other team, and I've seen it before. I have seen him do it against my team. But then you have the Jay Cutler who's so inconsistent, and at times he just seems to not care and just do the most careless things possible. And, he'll give the other team the ball and help the other team win. So you never know what Jay Cutler you're going to get. But I'm going with J.J. Watt nonetheless. Defensive Rookie of the Year, my pick was all said and done. I made on the latest episode of Cover 2 on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. I picked Myles Garrett. But with this latest injury news, I probably can get a mulligan here. So this is what I'm going to do. I don't know how serious it is because I'm reading he'll be out at least weeks and then he'll be reevaluated. That pretty much tells you he's going to be out a little more than 2 weeks. And if that's the case, I'm with B. Austin. Like, you can't make that kind of campaign when you're not on the field. And then when you get back on the field, you try to work yourself back into shape. So while it is, because I think he's a man amongst boys, while it is possible for him to jump in and get a Rookie of the Year playing 12, 13 games, I'm going to keep my pick the same, but I'm just going to throw another name out there on the just-in-case tip. I'm going to play the fence on this one, and I'm going to go Reuben Foster as well. Myles Garrett, and maybe Reuben Foster if we have some extenuating circumstances. No, I don't usually hedge my bet like that. But I don't have a choice in this situation.
Hedge, daddy, hedge.
So, Offensive Rookie of the Year. I, too, like what Christian McCaffrey is going to bring to the table. However, as far as the running game goes, he still has to share that rock with Jonathan Stewart. He'll add dimensions in so many different parts of the game, running the ball, catching the ball, being on returns. He'll be in the mix no matter what, but I think more opportunity is going to go to Kareem Hunt, running back from the Kansas City Chiefs, because of Spencer Ware's injury. He's out for the season, so Kareem Hunt pretty much has full reign as far as his offense goes. And, even though this is the era of running back by committee, he was supposed to be a part of that two-man committee. So I don't think the third string back was going to just step into the mix and get as many carries as he would have gotten as a second stringer. So I got Kareem Hunt winning this because he's going to get more opportunities to win this. Defensive Player of the Year, you're going to be surprised by this one. Shout out to Von Miller. Shout out to Aaron Donald. Even shout out to the homie B. Austin just said, and Joey Bosa. When I said my man was coming back to try to reclaim his spot, I said I meant he's coming back to reclaim his spot. I got J.J. Watt, and I told you years ago that I'm going to pick J.J. Watt for Defensive Player of the Year until he's either dead or in a coma. He's neither so far. He just had an injury. He has an injury that could reoccur. We know about, those type of problems. But with the other homie over there on the other side, he's going to have a lot of help. I think he's going to come in and tear things up. So I got J.J. Watt This is a long shot for me. This isn't like a very, very confident pick.
Yeah.
You tripping. I'm tripping. Offensive Player of the Year. I agree with B. Austin with this. David Johnson, in my opinion, has a chance to do what he bragged about possibly doing, and that's getting 1,000 yards on the ground and 1,000 yards through the air. So he's my Offensive Player of the Year, and just like B. Austin said as well, MVP goes to Meadowlark the God. Aaron Rodgers is going to show his backside this coming season, and I see anywhere between 35 to 40 touchdowns, maybe even more. Maybe I'll go 37 to 42 touchdowns.
Damn.
It's on. I mean, you know what the NFL is hitting for these days.
Yeah.
So those are our awards picks. Let's get into the playoffs. We could do these at the same time. I'll just shout out the division. We'll shout out who we want. Yeah, Jamora in the house. So yeah, we're gonna do our playoff predictions right now, and we will start with
playoffs. Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me?
We will start
playoffs.
In the AFC. Let's start with the AFC. AFC East. I'm taking the Patriots. Like I mentioned before, I think the Dolphins have a good chance to be a decent team, but when I say that, I don't mean that they're going to be challenging the New England Patriots for the division. I got the Patriots. Who you got?
Unfortunately, I don't even look. I don't even know who's in the AFC East when it comes to like picking the division. Like I don't even I know the Dolphins are in the AFC East, but I really don't. I don't think about them being in the AFC. The AFC East. Oh, the Pats. So I'm going with the Tom Brady's and Bill Belichick's for the AFC East. That's a shoo-in.
All right,
injuries or not.
Who you got in the AFC North?
AFC North, I'll go with Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin for Steelers share.
I think that defense is going to be bolstered. I think they're really going to see the effects of picking up a Joe Hayden this close to the start of the season, and you know what they got on offense. Roethlisberger, Bell, Brown, like it's going to be a good year in Pittsburgh. I don't think Cincinnati or the Ravens are going to be able to do much to put a stop to this Steeler train. AFC South, I'm going with a surprise here. It might not be a surprise to most. It's a team that's up and coming. I'm going to go with the Titans. My first instinct was to go with the Texans because of what their defense is capable of. Quarterback position is just not a sure bet. I mean, you got Savage over there. You got Deshaun Watson if they decide to give him that shot. The Texans will be in it all the way. So, in my opinion, whoever wins the division, it's probably going to be late in the season, and it might only be with 9 or 10 wins. But I'm going to go with the Titans on this one. Who you got? All right. B. Austin, I've lost contact with him. I can't hear anything you're saying. So let's go to the AFC West. In the AFC West, I have the Chargers winning that division, and I think that division is probably going to be the most hotly contested division in the league, period, bar none. So let's flip it over. Well, no, my AFC wild cards. Speaking of a hotly contested division, I think both wild cards will come from the AFC West. I have the Raiders and the Chiefs rounding out the AFC playoff picture. Now we jump over to the NFC. I like the Giants in the NFC East. I don't see the Cowboys repeating with all the problems that they're having with player availability. I think, my Philadelphia Eagles, and B's back with us. We flipped over to the NFC. If you want to, before we do that, if you want to give me your AFC South, AFC West, and the 2 AFC wild cards, we got to do that real quick because we're up against it.
Sure. So for the AFC South, Texans, AFC West, Chiefs, did we do our wild card?
Yeah, you can do the 2 AFC wild cards.
Titans and Chargers.
Okay, and I'm going to let you know mine. For the AFC South, I had the Titans. For the West, the Chargers. And both of my wild cards are coming out of the AFC West, and neither one of them are the Broncos, the Raiders and the Chiefs. Flipping to the NFC, I said I like the New York Giants in the NFC East. I don't like the Dallas Cowboys to repeat because they're having a player availability problem right now. Plus, I think Dak Prescott is a marked man, so he's going to have to go out and prove that he is what people thought he was, and he's not an RG3. So we'll see how hard the season is for him. I like what they're doing in our hometown of Philadelphia, but I don't like it enough to give them this division. Who do you got in the East?
In the East, I have the Giants. I have the Giants winning the division. I think that this turmoil, while I know that Dallas is used to functioning well with issues, I still say that weighs on the team. And when you're not facing 8-man fronts, it's a little harder to pass in the NFL. So we're about to see what Dak is really made of, as you said.
Okay. NFC North, who you going with?
Packers.
I'm going to go with the Packers as well. I don't think
a good team.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't even think. First, I don't think Matthew Stafford's paycheck is going to be enough to get the Lions where they need to be. I think the most talented team in the division are the Minnesota Vikings. We saw how they fell apart last season. I just can't see. I just can't see him taking enough chances to do what they have to do. I'm going to go with the Pack as well. Man. NFC South. This one was difficult for me only because I think the Falcons, now we all know how it goes with the loser of the Super Bowl. They rarely make the playoffs. And I think the hangover for the Falcons might be worse than any other that we've seen in the past few decades just because of how that game played out. Like, after having the Super Bowl in your hands and blowing it, is like you have to be a special human being. They have to have some serious special stuff, shout out to Willie Beeman, to come out and get up enough to want to go out and try to dominate the conference again and get back. They got some hard sledding to go, but with that said, I'm still going to pick the Falcons to win the NFC South against all the better judgment that I've learned in my life. I'm going to pick the Falcons when I really don't want to. Who you got, South?
I'll be a little less verbose. I'm just going with the Falcons. The team coaching, they won't make the same mistake unless, of course, they get to the Super Bowl. They won't make that during the regular season. Salute to the Bucs too, because I think they'll come in second in that division.
Yeah, and the mistake was weird to me because the Falcons. If you asked me to name a team that when they get you down, they step on your throat, I would have said and maybe that's where it fell apart because they didn't run the ball when a lot of people thought they should have run the ball. So in retrospect, they actually stuck to their MO. It just didn't work. NFC West, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Who are you going with in the West?
Sea Chickens. They got it on lock.
Them Hawks. All right, so my 2 NFC wild cards, and this is much like I did in the AFC, I think they're going to come from the same division. I wanted to give consideration to the Cardinals. I wanted to give a little bit of consideration to the Eagles, but in the end, I didn't. I gave my wild cards to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and to the Carolina Panthers. I think this offseason, this camp might be the most valuable ever for Cam because he was injured. So where he got to learn the most was in the classroom. We already know what he can do physically, and we already know what he lacks. And the fact that he got to, basically study and improve his mental approach to the game, I think that's going to be big for the Panthers, along with what that defense is going to do, along with McCaffrey, Stewart, Benjamin, Olsen, and that offensive line, I think they're in a good position. So who are your NFC wild cards?
I like what you said there, and I'm going to address that because I want to speak to Cam because when you're this far in the game. But my wild cards are the Cardinals and the Eagles. Yeah,
okay.
I know.
That's what's up.
I know.
No, get us in there. Just like I told Fred, because Fred Purdue actually picked the Eagles to win the division. So I'm telling him at the end of the season, I'm hoping that he's able to look at me and say, "I told you to. I told you so. You should have had more confidence in your boys." I hope that's the
Cam. Everything you said about Cam should be true. And if you were coaching him up, I'm sure you would push some of that stuff. But at this point in his career, if he's not already in the classroom, if he's not already taking the film seriously, I don't know that he will. And he's the type of player, the things that he needs to learn and develop, that needs to translate from the film to on the field.
Sometimes when you're injured, you're forced to do these things. So sometimes an injury could be the best thing that can happen to you. But we'll see. We'll see. We shall see. All right, so give me your conference championship games in both conferences.
Packers versus the Sea Chickens. Brady and Belichick versus the Steelers. That's what I got.
I have the exact same games. Steelers, Patriots, Packers, Seahawks. Who's going to the Super Bowl, B?
I have the Steelers versus the Packers. And I don't know how the Packers are going to make it. I don't know how they're going to make it because, the Packers aren't a good team.
No,
like, all we're
doing
is saying that Aaron Rodgers is that good. Aaron Rodgers is that good. They're not good. They don't lose their running back.
Yep.
We on Aaron Rodgers, Woody. That's
I
bad.
know. No, it's some serious Koloffing going on here because we both got him in the Super Bowl. Who you got winning the Super Bowl this year?
Aaron Rodgers. He ain't got no team, so
at least I'm gonna go against them in the Super Bowl. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers adding trophy number 7 to their trophy cabinet. So there's that.
I want to change
our 2017 predictions, awards predictions, and team predictions. So before we get out of here, because we got about 2 minutes before we do, these picks don't even need rap. We're just going to pick 6 games for this upcoming week, starting with the contest tonight. Kansas City at New England. Who you got?
I got New England.
I got New England to open up their season with a win as well. Oakland going across country to visit Tennessee, the much improved Tennessee, because I got them winning the division and you got them as a wild card. So what do you think here?
On the first night, I'm going to go Oakland.
I'm going to go Oakland as well, even though, teams traveling across the country to go east, it usually doesn't work out that good for them, especially when it's a kind of evenly matched game. And, Carr might have the jitters with players around his knee. So I think everything in me that's telling me not to go with Oakland is being ignored for some reason. I'm going to go with them as well. Let me shut up. Arizona at Detroit, another Western team going east. I'm going to take Arizona, the road team, in this one as well. Who you got?
Detroit.
All right. Our Philadelphia Eagles going down to Washington to face the Washington professional football team. Who you got in that one?
Eagles.
I'm going to go with the Birds as well. Seattle at Green Bay. Here's where my Koloffing comes back in. I got Green Bay winning this. How? I don't know. Let's say Lambeau and Aaron Rodgers, but I'm going with the Packers. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the Hawks in this one.
Okay. And last game, the Giants going to see the Cowboys on Sunday night. Can they beat them again? Because they have their number in this particular game the past few years.
Cowboys.
I'm going with the Giants. My original pick for the Giants was because Zeke wasn't playing. Zeke will be playing under arbitration, but he's going to serve that 6-game suspension right after. But I'm going to still go with the New York Giants. So this has been our NFL kickoff show and anniversary show. Happy anniversary to the War Room, but it's time for us to get out of here. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another briefing in the War Room. Shout out to everyone in the chat room on Facebook, Twitter, War Room Sports, Game Time on the GroupMe app, and all the callers who called in to holler at us. Special thanks to Fred Perdue and Gus Griffin for joining us for their respective segments as well. Tune in next week, live right here or on demand on the WRS Podcast Network as we recap Week 1 and preview NFL Week 2. And, of course, we'll catch you up on everything relevant in the world of sports. So until then, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, enjoy your football if you're partaking, and we'll see you right back here next time. Be sure to catch our conversations on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our blogs, webcasts, and network podcasts on warroomsports.com. Also, make sure you pick up Jimmy's book at sportsthebook.com or warroomsports.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity, be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
6 to 8. Yeah. War Room Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy. Know the blueprint. Yo. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Des, PJ, B. Austin, Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like magic in the block push. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop scholars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dez, TJ, Jack Beck, B. Austin. I'm Jack. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.